bring you this developing story. NUMSA members are picketing at Ford SA's premises in Silverton, demanding bonuses. After a failed conciliation process in June, the union served Ford with a strike notice and has since received a certificate to carry out their protest action. Watching those developments is our reporter, Katlego Lehodi, who joins us now live. And Katlego, not many people in this country can speak about getting a bonus given our economic performance, at least in the last 5 years, so to speak. But perhaps help us understand what the sticking issues were here that led to negotiations breaking down.
A very good morning to you, Ayanda, and to our listeners and viewers at home. We'll be coming to you live this morning from outside First Vermeulen Gate, this being in Pretoria at the headquarters of a Ford Motor Company. This is where we're seeing about 3,000 of those workers really downing tools. Your question was around the economy and where then the workers find themselves in today. And what we're hearing from them here, Ayanda, is that then this company, Ford, has been raking millions, actually billions, year in and year out, and that has not been reflecting on the workers on the ground. Well, we hear them calling this morning for a profit sharing from Ford to the workers, saying that the workers are failing to make ends meet. But we see Ford day in, day out producing these cars, and we know very well that this company has been in South Africa for over 100 years now. And what we see is that last year it also enjoyed a car of the year in terms of winning awards, and they're saying the workers here on the ground that should be reflective of the men and women that dedicate their time daily to what is happening here. But this is a matter, Ayanda, that we'll see this afternoon play out in the Labour Court in Braamfontein as we see Ford just moving to interdict this demonstration outside its facilities here. As we speak right now, nothing is happening here where we are in terms of operations, because from as early as 5 o'clock, 5 a.m., we hear in the morning that is when Ford closed its gates for the workers not to come in. There's a high contingency of police as well on the ground as we speak right now, but we continue to see the workers demonstrating. I'm going to bring into the conversation with us this morning the NUMSA president is Mr. Andrew Chira, who'll just give us a sense of really how we find ourselves here in terms of what the workers have been calling for. You seem to believe that this company has the money and the capability to really pay the workers this performance or bonuses that is outside of what was agreed upon at the bargaining forum. Maybe give us a sense of how then we find each other here.
Thank you very much. We over years have been negotiating with the company after Ford has made investments of over 6 billion. 2 years ago, we've been engaging with them to say that over and above investing on facility, investing on the company, machinery, other things, there must be some form of investment in workers' benefit. This is the second dispute we are now. We raised the issue of incentive bonus that the company must think about improving the bonus for workers. They refuse to do so. We now have a second dispute, which is a dispute of profit sharing, which is the reason why we're here. Because we declared a dispute after a long protracted discussion where unfortunately we were met with nothing else but arrogance. Basically a company that is saying, management that is not saying we are broke, we can't afford. Simply saying, no, you don't deserve it. You are not entitled to this. We're not going to charge. So we're here as a result of arrogance of management. There is money here, but unfortunately money here is given to executives, money here is given to managers. Workers are given only peanuts in a form of so-called incentive bonus scheme, around 1,400 a month. That's what workers receive. These are workers that are working for multinational company. These are workers that cannot even afford. They don't qualify house, they don't qualify for these RDP houses. These workers, some of them still working for this company, big company as they are, but these you see them here are still know how is the cost of living. So we have done everything to negotiate. We were patient before we declare a dispute. We've engaged even the regional management beyond South Africa to say, but intervene. It can't be right that you put so much money in the company, but you fail in the past 12 years or so. You fail to invest even in a single benefit to say to the workers, we think of you, we know you applied, you are the one who are producing this best quality vehicle which we export throughout the whole world. It cannot be right. What we have been subjected to, unfortunately, it's nothing else than attack. You know, the more workers raise these issues, the more we advance this interest of workers. Management has been really responding with unleashing all manner of victimization, even attacking the very same benefits which we have received in the past, through a very serious struggle, which included some of the workers being dismissed to achieve the benefits that we have. So there is a refusal by management to make provision, but also the attack old benefit which have been made in the past through struggle, as you see today.
Yeah, I mean, one can say that these are issues that would be expected to really be tabled at the bargaining forum, whereby issues and the benefits of the workers will be incorporated in terms of how then things would work as we see you bargaining with the employer, but we see them more or less this process as if it's a new process that has been introduced, and the management even running to the courts to say that it looks like you more or less are actually in any way introducing a new element outside of an agreement that was reached at the bargaining forum.
Our agreement in particular, C8.1, make provision, our National Bargaining Forum agreement, make provision for industry engagements which would regulate the wages and the basic conditions of service, which means including benefits. But it does not cover all other things. For instance, it doesn't talk about incentive. It doesn't talk about issues like profit sharing. Those issues are left for plans to negotiate. So issues of performance, reward systems, incentive, profits are those issues that the industry agreement says parties at the plant level will then, within this framework, explore negotiations and then agree on how together they could establish schemes that could address those type of issues. So it's not true. It cannot be true. In fact, that's what they are making, even in their papers. They are creating an impression that these issues are governed. They are not. There is no profit sharing. There is no incentive in the industry agreement. It's about wages. It's about basic benefits like maternity and things like that. So we are allowed by the agreement to explore. Of course, then, and this is deliberately because these companies are not the same. This is Ford. The size of Ford, its revenue will not be equal to Nissan, will not be equal to VW. This is allowed so that companies can focus on peculiar conditions and look at its capacity, look at revenue, look at its size, and then together with the union engage, negotiate, and agree on what type of incentive scheme, for instance, and agree if there's to be a profit, what margin, what could be the framework that must govern that profit. So this is not in the agreement. We are allowed by law to demand.
I wanted to come in there to say, how do you then see it being structured, this profit-sharing process? Do you have an idea? Do you have a framework? How do you see it working out as we see you having engaged with the employer to a point of this matter, even getting to the CCMA?
Look, at the moment, what we're fighting for a principle, and the problem is that we're dealing with management that refuse even to engage on the principle first. We say to them, let's sit down, let's agree on a principle that if Ford declared dividends, we must agree on what percentage should be ring-fenced for workers as it is done for executive, as it is done for management. This is not a new phenomenon. It's there in Europe, it's there in France, it's there in Germany, it's there in the US. Ford itself in the US does make provision, has got a framework that say once we have declared a dispute, so much percentage will be ring-fenced for workers, and therefore each and every operator will receive so much money over and above the one allocated to managers, executive, including shareholders, which means the pie is shared by all. This is not a new phenomenon. Ford practice that globally. Only in South Africa we are told it's something that is unique. They never heard of such a thing. It exists. We don't need to even talk about new frameworks. We can just talk about the local situation. How can we customize it and make it benefit both the company and the workers in South Africa?
All right. Before we let you go, we're out of time, Dedechiro, but this matter is playing out in the Labour Court in the afternoon. What would be your expectations, and what happens then if you don't get your way where the courts are concerned?
Look, our expectation is to win in court. We've prepared papers. We have responded to each and every allegation and contention by the employers. We have done that. We're confident that with the judge of the day having looked at both submissions, any judge should simply be able to say, but NUMSA, you are right within your right to proceed with a strike. We're not expecting the judge to force management to give profit sharing, but we're expecting the judge, through the use of law, to at least protect our right to strike, protect our right to put demand and even back that demand with an industrial action. That's a basic fundamental right. That's what we are going there to protect today. So to us, it's victory. We're not going to talk about losses.
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. Andrew Chira coming through there as the president of NUMSA, and this matter now moves from Silverton to Braamfontein, the Labour Court. This is where then we saw Ford just pushing with an urgent application that will be entertained in the afternoon, trying to block this process here. As you can imagine, that as we speak right now, Ayanda, nothing is happening at the company. And I'm going to just step out of short just a bit for Lwazi to show you the workers that are demonstrating. These are Ford workers that have really downed tools when you look at what is expected to happen here inside. And gate 1 is where you'd see them check in. Morning shift was supposed to have started at 5 o'clock in the morning. And as those colleagues of theirs were knocking off, that is when the police then came through, we are told, and the gates have now been closed. Until then, we get a clarity from the courts as to whether this strike action will go ahead or not. It's back to you in studio for now, Ayanda.
All right, Katlo Lehori, live to us there from Silverton and Pretoria. Thanks very much indeed. Certainly a story that's far from over.